May Gavannen everyone, I am Melvin Urgalan, and we are here in our second changelog video. And in this one, I have elected to go over the changes that have taken place in regards to the units, how they've changed, whether it be either appearances, unit changes as in unit size, unit description, unit what's the name, unit stats, or anything that pertains to units. Now, from what I've seen, there should only be changes to the actual battle map units and not really any changes to the campaign models. I'm not entirely certain of this, but that should be the case at least with this build, which is the same one that I used for the first changelog. That is to say, this version of Divide and Conquer version 2.0 is from the 8th of May 2017, so bear that in mind. If you've heard from somewhere else that there's new features included or new units included that's not in this one, do not fear, they will be included in later ones when I do shorter update ones. This one is going to be an all-rounder, going through all the different factions. Now, I've also elected to do in this fashion that I am going to do a faction. I'm going to show you all the new changes to their units, if there are any, and what they are. And then I am going to switch back to version 1.2 if I deem it necessary that is to say, if I deem it necessary to show you how they've changed, as in, is the visual change so different that you need to see the original one? Maybe the unit is so obscure that you would never have known, or because you never use the unit or never see the unit. Or similarly, in that fashion, if I feel that it is necessary, I will go to version 1.2. I will not do it for every faction. Furthermore, I am only in this selector screen now because I'm going to show you the factions that have not had any unit changes as of the 8th of May build. And I am actually going to use the custom battle creator to create the battles and show you the units inside there. So that's what I'm going to do. But first of all, the factions that have not had unit changes as of the 8th of May are the Dunedain. They have not had unit changes. Harad have neither had any unit changes over there. Anduin has not been changed. Likewise, Mordor has not been changed. Neither has Dol Guldur, no, Dol Amroth, sorry, and Khazad Dûm, which is over there, have neither been changed. These 6, Dunedain, Harad, Anduin, Mordor, Dol Amroth, and Khazad Dûm, they have not had unit changes. Okay, now I've got that out of the way. I am going to see you all in the first one, and I am actually going to start with the Angmar unit. So you're going to see that one first. So bear with me a moment. And welcome to the first one. We are in Angmar, or we are here with Angmar units. First of all, we'll note that we have goblin bands here, and the single reason we have these here is because I'm going to show you the new captain battle model. And as you can see from here, this should be the new captain model right here. That's what I have noted here. They have a new captain model, so we are going to jump them back to 1.2 and have a look at what they look there as well, so that you will have a good look and be able to determine whether or not there's actually a better or worse change. So that's changed. And then we have the Warg Scouts. These are completely new units. And you can't see it right now really, but oh, there you can. They are using crossbows. Maybe you can see there. They have crossbows in their arms. They have the following stats. They have 4 melee attack, 5 missile attack, which is decent enough. Charge bonus of 5, that's alright, and not that much defense. So what would you use these for? They are also effective against armor, meaning that their crossbows are actually arm piercing, so that's quite cool. Why would you want to use these? Well, they are a good alternative to, for instance, javelin throwing orc wargs, because they use crossbows, and crossbows are really, really strong, and they should also have quite a few missiles. 18 missiles is quite a lot, in my honest opinion. And a missile attack of 5 is not bad, plus they have the added benefit of being able to maneuver around the battlefield and shoot people in the back, which is one of the best ways to use a crossbow. You need to be able to maneuver them because they take so long to fire. So them being on wargs is actually a really, really good thing because it adds so much maneuverability to the unit. And that is actually all. They have a new unit, and they have a new captain. They have also lost a unit, but I'm going to take that up in the version 1.2, or in version 1.2, and show it that. So for now, I will bid you a quick recess, and I will come back with Rhûn. No, actually that's not true. I'll come back with Angmar version 1.2, and after that I'll come to Rhûn. I'll say that in the version 1.2 as well. Thank you. And I have actually jumped to version 1.2 now. So I'm going to show you what's been removed. First of all, these units, or this unit, the Vox skirmishers, who threw javelins and skirmished, have been removed from the game, and they are the ones that have been replaced by the Warg scouts instead, who use the crossbows. And the crossbows are, of course, armor piercing and do a little bit more damage and presumably are slightly better. So these are removed, and you will no longer see them in version 2.0, and that's how they look. And also, to give you a comparison, this is what the version 1.2 general looks like in for Angmar, sorry, Captain, sorry. And yeah, you can compare that. If you go back a little bit, you can compare that to the version 2.0 battle model. And that's basically all for this one. I'm going to jump forward now and show you some of the factions who will not be covered in version 1.2. And you will come back to version 1.2 with Dorwinion. But now you're going to go and have a look at quite a few factions actually, so bear with me a moment. Rightio! So I know I'm going to say, I will have said in the last one that I'm going to only show you Rhûn, but I changed that, and I'm going to show you the factions who will not need to be compared to version 1.2 for one reason or another, because it's either a minor stat change or it's something small like that. So I'm going to show you 8 factions at once, and it's only because they have minor changes that do not warrant their own little snippet and own personal thing, if you understand me. So I'm just going to go through them one by one. We're going to start here with Rhûn. They've received a new unit. They've received the Balkos Spearman. This one can actually be seen in Arahir's video, I believe, where he plays as Rhûn. So this is one of the new units you can get by conquering a specific region. I can't tell you which one it is because I can't remember that, but it's one of those. And as you can see, they are quite rubbish really, with attack 3 and charge bonus of 3. With a total defense of 13, however, and with decent defense skill and shield, they will fall somewhat easily to arrow fire, I may suggest. But if they are not running away from archers, and the archers are not on their right hand side, they might just do quite alright. It's an alright defense skill, but they're not good at the attack. So use them defensively if you would preferably. And you can have a read of the description as well, which I believe is new completely. So you can have a look at that if you are so inclined. What else to say about these? Nothing else really, except that Rhûn... actually no, that's wrong. I've positioned that wrong. Never mind, that is all new for Rhûn. So, new unit, and as you can see, they're quite cool, with really a tribesman-y look, with the golden armored captains there, wondering what they're doing commanding these units, but that's beside the point. Look really, really cool. Then we jump over to the next one. This should be the Woodland Realm. Actually, no, sorry, they come in another order in my notes, so I'm going to jump to Rohan immediately. Sorry for that. So, in Rohan, we have the Guard of the Caves. They have had a slight change. I can't click on them, unfortunately, because I'm not in command of their unit, but should be alright. Their attack has been increased. It's increased by 1, so they now do 1 more damage, and they're quite cool. If you play as Rohan, that you get dwarves, and I do believe it's from the Glittering Caves something that you managed to get these. And they are now a little bit more aggressive, so that's always nice to see. And then we have the Royal Guard over here. That is, I believe, the bodyguard unit of the Rohirrim. And they look really, really cool. And they now move 5% faster than they did in version 1.2. Right, so 5% increased movement speed. That's what they've got. Furthermore, the Rohirrim have also now received a slight decrease in the cost of their units, in that their units in the early game cost a little bit less. So cheaper Rohirrim, faster Royal Cavalry, and stronger Guard of the Caves. That is what you can expect from the new Rohan, at least at this point. We move forward and we come to Anduin. No, sorry, that's not Anduin. That's the Dunlandings. My mistake. And we shall start with the Scalds, which are actually a new unit. And I will actually start the battle, because then I might actually be able to click on them. I can. Haha. So, Dunlands, these are new. The Scalds are new. They use this nice bastard sword or two-handed sword, either one. I'm not entirely certain which one. Not yet received a description, so that will tell you how new they are. But as you can see here, they have quite a decent defense, almost exclusively from defense skill, but not bad. Not bad at all. Decent armor, and 16 is nothing to scoff at. They inspire nearby troops, they chant, adept at hiding, and they frighten enemy units. They furthermore have quite a aggressive attack and a decent charge bonus. So overall, they are quite an interesting unit. They're quite a small number of them, and I presume you should use them as a shock unit to scare and break the enemy. Then something that's not unique to Dunland, but one of the Dunlanding available units in this custom battle, so I put them in so I can have them done, are the Saralain Mercenaries. And what's up with them? Well, they have received a new appearance, basically. And they look a slightly bit different. Oops, sorry. And I mean, they look really, really cool. There's the stats if you want to see them. Using their two-handed hook or whatever. Looks cool. Yes. They have received that new appearance. We move forward to the next units. That would be Gondor over here. Just look at my notes so I don't forget something. Right. First of all, the Anfalas pikemen over here. These are new units. New pikemen units for Gondor. Considering their attack stats and defense, I would suggest that these are available before the barracks event. However, they are a unit that can only be trained in one of the thieves, if I am not mistaken. And it would appear as if I am correct in that, because you can only train them in Anfalas or Andrast, but they should be a pre-barracks event unit, though I'm not 100% on that. 8 defense, 3 attack with 5 charge bonus. I mean, they're obviously a piked unit, and therefore they're ridiculously good at defense because of their pike animation. So that defense there is a little bit misleading, because they can probably hold out really, really well if you charge them from the front. But if you flank them either from the side or from the back, they're going to fall really, really quickly with those low stat numbers there. But if you stay at the edge here, they're going to slaughter you, basically. So that's a new unit. Fountain Guards have received a slight nerf, in that they have been reduced, or their attack has been reduced, sorry, by 2, from 9 down to 7. So they're slightly less aggressive and more defensive. Right, that's Gondor. Let me mark that down. And then the next one should be Misty Mountains, and they are indeed. Now, what's new with Misty Mountains? Well, they've got quite a few new units, actually. Well, they've also got the Warg Scouts, the crossbow using Warg units. So they also got those. Furthermore, they have gotten the Uruk Taskmasters, as you can see here. Look really, really cool. And what do? They are really, really defensive. They are quite a decent attacking force, but basically they are not supposed to be in the front. They are supposed to stand behind your front line and inspire your nearby troops by chanting, basically, giving a slight morale boost. This can also be seen being used by me in my Misty Mountain videos, if you are so inclined to see those there. And they're a solid unit, and they've also gotten a description now, so if you are interested in that, you can take a pause and read it. Yeah. Furthermore, then we have the Flame Wranglers here, the incredibly inaccurate goblin new catapult. I am just about to be able to recruit these in my Misty Mountain playthrough, so you'll soon see me playing with these. But basically, they are an incredibly inaccurate what's it called, catapult that fires a barrel, which when a little bit above the enemy units will explode and shoot fire down in different places on the battlefield close to where it exploded. And it will burn very, very many people that are close behind it. And that plays very well into the goblins' need for destruction, and I think they are a really, really cool unit. They have been added, and if you get them, they're going to be so much fun, but presumably not going to get too many kills because they are so inaccurate, but you never know. If they stand at the back, they may just get that extra kills you need. The Misty Mountains have also lost the Wag skirmishers who have been removed, but those we shall look at in the, I want to say, Angmar one. Yeah, we're going to look at what was removed there. So that's the Misty Mountain one. That's done. Then we move over to Imladris, I believe is the last one here, and indeed they are. And they have quite a simple change in that they have been changed. These Noldorin Guard have been changed to 12 soldiers, is what it says. But they are clearly 24 here. So it's quite possible that either it has been changed again and no one has updated the changelog, or maybe it means 12 soldiers, but not on huge unit sizes. Suffice it to say, I do believe that they have been reduced because they are a force to be reckoned with that 41 defense. I believe they have been slightly lowered to 12 soldiers, but I believe that 12 soldiers is the for normal size maybe, and not for huge, which is what I have on here. So that's the Imladris change. And then I'm going to jump back to the Woodland Realm over there, which were positioned a little bit poorly in my setup of this, but never fear, we shall look at them now. So what have they had changed? Well, that should be the captain over there. Oh no, sorry, it's only the general that's been changed, and to see that we have to go into a proper campaign. I may just have to do that. I'm going to come back to that. But they've got a new general battle model, so I'll have to show you that. The Hinidaur, we shall start with them. They have lost 1 defense, I believe in armor, presumably. I don't know actually where it's reduced from, but they've lost 1 defense. And they've also lost their locked morale status and now only have excellent morale. So they can now run away and have a slightly lowered defense. But on the other hand, the Elven King's Guard have received locked morale, so one would assume that it basically just shifted over there. I will come back to the general battle model, and I will do that in a campaign one. So you're going to have to wait a little bit for that one, but I will circle back to that one. And finally, in this one, I'm going to show you the Ered Luin, and quite a small change, but the change nevertheless needs to be mentioned, is that these are the Ered Luin shield bearers. And you will know them in your game as the Nogrod shield bearers. They have simply been renamed. No other change, a renaming is simply what's happened. But those are available in your games currently as Nogrod shield bearers. Alright, I believe that is everything I have to say about these 8 factions, and I will not be comparing any of these factions to their 1.2 counterpart because I do not believe it is necessary. as they have only received slight stat changes or similar things. So yeah, I'm going to come back immediately actually with the Mirkwood general battle model, so you get to see that one immediately after this one, and then I'm going to continue on from there. So see you in a little bit. And a quick interjection here, because I completely forgot or had actually misplaced the Norrentino cavalry under Lindon as opposed to Imladris where they actually reside. So the Noretirno maybe cavalry have been changed a little bit in that they are slightly weaker but also cheaper. They do not have a second attack, which presumably means that they do not have a sword to use after they have used this spear, and they are also remade so that they are more of a charge unit. As you can see, they're quite charge heavy there, and as you can see, they use quite a long spear, so they are supposed to be a charging lancer unit. And I just needed to interject that really quickly before you get to look at the Mirkwood General, so I hope you appreciate that, and I apologize for any inconvenience in the viewing experience. See you in the Mirkwood General. I have now found a Mirkwood General, and as you can see, he stands right there. It might even be a she, almost looks like that, with, I believe, a slightly more matted green color, presumably. Oh, no, that may actually be the General there, because he looks like the most important looking of them all. So yeah, that's the new general model, or one of these. I think those might be captains actually, and that's the, or officers basically, and that's the general there. But that's what he looks like, and I think he looks quite cool with his scale mail there, or chain mail maybe, and that looks cool. And yes, that's all of that. I'm going to jump over to Dorwinion's new units now, so bear with me a moment. And after that Mirkwood show-off, we are now going to jump in here and I will show you Umbar and Dorwinion. Now, Umbar has got a few changes, which is why I'm going to show them first, and I'm going to delve into what Dorwinion has received. So first and foremost, Umbar's Corsair pikemen have received such a buff that they can now have their armor upgraded twice to silver armor as opposed to only bronze armor. One of these is upgraded. Which one might it be? I think the other one is upgraded and this one is the base one, and then they get a little bit more of a scale on their bodies here. So that's a change. They can upgrade their armor twice. Same for... where are they? Oh, that's interesting. The Corsair archers are actually hiding here, but there are 2 units there, and the Corsair archers can upgrade their armor 3 times as opposed to only 2 times. So they can get gold armor. Unfortunately, I can't apparently show them, but they have not received any new appearance or visual upgrade changes, so they will look the same, with the only difference being that they can go to gold armor. And finally, the Belgair archers, going from this look over here to this one, I believe, or the other way around. I'm not certain which way. Maybe from that to this, because this one looks a little bit more tanky. In any case, they can now upgrade to silver armor as opposed to only being able to upgrade to bronze armor. So there you have it. That's the Umbar one. Let's now get into the meat of this one, or this part, where we go and have a look at Dorwinion. Actually, forgot to move those, so let's move them now quickly. So first and foremost, the Avari Shadows, these ones over here, have received a new appearance and now look like that. And I mean, they look like shadows basically. It looks like they would be able to escape into the forest and never be heard of again. Really cool looking that is, in my opinion. As you can see, you have a nice little blade there as well. We move over to Dorwinion Protectors, who's also received a new look. Looks very Kaisari, or from Rome. Very Kaisari with that laurel or wreath that they have on their tabard there. Really, really cool. Must also be expensive because purple is not a cheap color to get, or was not a cheap color to get during the Middle Ages. So quite a bit of money has gone into that. Of course, it may just have been dyed with wine. I cannot know that for certain. Changes have also happened across the board to the Thorn units, as you can see here. You will see in the version 1.21 that they are actually wearing red tabards as opposed to these nice and fancy looking purple ones. And all 3 units have received this change across the board, being color changed to purple from using their red ones. No really other changes other than... Wait, hang on. Which ones are they? There we are. The Thorn Bladesmen. That would be these ones here. They've received an attack increase of 1. Yeah, they do now do 1 more damage. But on the other hand, the Town or Thorn Guard have received a reduction in attack. Just to make certain that the swordsmen are slightly more aggressive and the spearmen are slightly more defensive. So that's changed their stats right over there. We then move forward to the Regent Bodyguards. Not bodyguards, Bowguard, Spearguard and Axeguard. We're going to start here from the left. And here are the Regent Spearguards, looking like that. They should look the same as they do in version 1.2. But then we move over to their upgraded look. As you can see, they can upgrade to, I believe that is bronze armor. And they get a more chainmail look, or they get chainmail basically. Which is a good upgrade because it protects you much better from arrows and the like. A nice upgrade, really liking that look. That has happened across the board. They all go up to, from this padded leather armor thing to this interesting chainmail attire. Happening here as well. And I mean, they look more formidable and look more dangerous. Also, the Regent's Bowguard here, they now have a 10 meter increase on their range, so they can shoot 10 meters further. Alright, Dorwinion Protectors again. There was one more thing apparently. Yeah, one more thing I forgot to mention, or I am mentioning now. They cost a little bit more to recruit and potentially to upkeep. But on the plus side, they've gained 1 attack, so they do more damage. They received a defense skill, so they are more defensive and harder to kill. They also move 5% faster, so they can run a little bit faster. And they are very hardy, which presumably means that they get a bit of a better stamina. I believe that's what that means. And we move over to the Avari Elder Pikemen. Slight change here is that they now use a standard pike animation as opposed to a abnormal pike animation, presumably. So function perfectly as your nice pikeman. We then have the Avari Warriors with a simple name change. They are called Avari Guards in your version and are called Avari Warriors in version 2.0. So that's a little bit of a change. And finally, but not least, the High Paladins over here, which I believe might even be the bodyguard. I'm not going to swear on that. They received a slight buff in that they get 2 more morale. So they're going to be running, yeah, general unit, but they're going to be running much less frequently away from battle. And finally, slight change to the whole of Dorwinion's early game troops is that their early game troops are going to cost a little bit more. So it's going to be a little bit more expensive to field your first units, but once you've gotten them out, you don't want to lose them, and it's just to reflect that they have been made a little bit better, or a few of the units have been made a little bit better. So there you have it. That would be the Dorwinion ones, though they have significant enough change that I would consider this faction one to look at in version 1.2. So I'm going to jump over there right now and show you what they look like there. And we have jumped back into version 1.2, where I shall show you what's changed for Dorwinion from this version 1.2 to version 2.0. We are going to start with the Avari Shadows, actually, this missile unit here. And as you can see, it has received a slight change from this to what you saw a few minutes ago in the Dorwinion one. And I must say, I think the 2.1 looks cooler, basically. Basically, all the units look cooler in 2.0. Thank you, Hummingbird. Very well done there. That's the Avari Shadows. We have the Dorwinion Protectors. these have had a visual change, as you just saw. And I believe that the scale mail here has had a little bit of a brush up and looked better, and that helmet might have changed. Can't quite remember, but because it was some time ago, since I recorded the Dorwinion 2.01. Anyways, then we have the Thorn units, these three here. As you can see, they are all red in this version. And nothing wrong with that. It's a cool red color, and it looks almost like the wine they presumably produce. But I must say that the regal look of the purple color that they have received in version 2.0, that one is absolutely stellar beautiful. Absolutely gorgeous to look at. So I think that one is slightly better, actually. And also gave you the appearance of that they actually do cost a little bit more, because the purple color was not cheap to produce in medieval times. You need to gather quite a few clams, or however it went. Then we have the Regent units. These units right here. And as you can see here, if I remember rightly, they were changed to all have matching padded armor like these Regent Axe Guards, as opposed to these striped ones. And basically just to give them all three a more coherent look is what I would say was the biggest change here. And I think it's nice when units of the same name are coherent. I think that is a beautiful thing. Then we go to the Dorwinion Men-at-Arms over here. And they have also been slightly upgraded from this to look slightly different in version 2.0. And finally, just so you don't forget, the Avari Guard is what they called in version 1.2, but in version 2.0 they have been renamed to be called the Avari Warriors. And also, if you're so interested, we can look at the Thorn Bladesmen here. As you can see, they have one less attack here, and the Thorn Guard have one more attack here, as opposed to version 2.0. And that's all for Dorwinion. So we shall say goodbye to them and have a look at Isengard next, and some other factions which are not going to be covered in version 1.2, sorry. And enjoy them, and we'll see me back, the future me, in Lindon version 1.2. After the sunny vales of Dorwinion, we go down into the Dale or Vale of Isengard, and we are going to have a look at their new units, and also three other factions, but we're going to start with Isengard. First and foremost, their half-orc units have received visual upgrades in that their main, or rather the normal upgrade, their non-upgraded look is the same. And as we can see, as we go forward into bronze armor, they still look the same. As you can see, they have their little bits and pieces of armor and leather over there, nothing too special about it. But as soon as you go to second upgrade, or silver armor if you prefer, you can see that the half-orcs get this really nice looking Uruk-hai armor with plates connected and all such thing. It makes them look much more formidable and much more dangerous. Also removes these skulls, but you know, you can't get everything, and I think they look absolutely stunning like that. Makes your army look a little bit more cohesive as well, I would say, because now they won't stand out so much from the Uruk-hai, but rather blend in with their similar armor. Same thing has happened to the Spear Guard as has happened to the Bane Guard, meaning that the bronze armor and unupgraded look are the same. However, once you get to silver armor, you get this really nice looking Uruk-hai plate mail again. And that's the Isengard changes. The half-orcs have been made to look a little bit more formidable. Why are the Orthanc sentries here? They are just here to inform you that they have received a slight buff in that they now shoot 10 meters further. So they got a little bit of a buff to their shooting range, basically. A little bit better in that regard. We now move forward here. I can't control them, but this is going to be the canned units. This is the Variag Nobles, and they have received this new look. Looking quite cool in their plate or scale mail armor, depending on what you might call that. The horses might be a little bit encumbered by it, but they still look quite awesome, I must say. You can imagine that these units would plow quite far into the enemy once they get really going. And we can have a look at the next one as well. They have got two changes, and the other one is to their Variag Cataphracts, who now has this really cool tabard almost with scales on it for the horses to run around with, and I think it looks absolutely stunning. These are neither a unit which I would like to see come charging into my unit line, because I think they would plow quite far in. Also, one slight change they've had is that their captain and general model, as you can see here, this is now a captain model. This used to be your general, however it has now been changed around. So this is your captain now as opposed to your general, and your general is going to be your captain in version 1.2. So that's changed for Khand, and that's all for them. We're going to move over to Lothlorien then. What's happened with them? Well, first of all, we have Yavanna's Chosen here at the front. They have been changed in such a fashion, as you can see here already, is that they can now use Spear Wall as opposed to Schiltrum, which makes them a little bit more formidable, in my honest opinion, because I think I never use Schiltrum, and it's really only useful if you're severely outnumbered and really cannot afford a unit to be flanked by cavalry, whilst Spear Wall really helps you choke down and crack down on a specific spot, and I think it's very good to have had that change, because it's going to make them even more formidable. Second unit we have are the Galathrim March Wardens, who have gotten this new look. And as you can see, they have this really cool looking dual sword on the back, clipping a little bit through the cape, but that doesn't matter. They look really cool nevertheless. And the general there being a little bit sticking out, but I mean, yeah, he's sticking out from the silver, but I mean, you can't have everything, and I still think they look formidable like this. The Galathrim March Warden, ladies and gentlemen. And finally, we move over to Dol Guldur, or the Shadows of Mirkwood, if you so prefer. What have they got? Well, their captain, who's actually in this unit here, I believe, yeah, has gotten a new look. And you can see here, with his scales and spikes and things, that he looks really dangerous, and you would not want to get close to him, try to hug him or anything similar, because you will probably get cut. But that's how he looks, and he looks quite cool. Other change is quite a small one, but the Castellans of Dol Guldur, they have gotten a slight change in that they now scare all the units, all the enemy units, as opposed to only scaring your foot units. So if you need a really good shocker to really bring the morale down on the enemy, use the Castellans of Dol Guldur, because they're going to scare all the units and make them run away. So there you have it. That was Dol Guldur. And I will now switch over, and I will be back to you and show off the Lindonian units and how they look in version 2.0. So I'll be right back. Alright, we have now arrived at Lindon finally after Isengard and the other ones. So we are going to have a look at what they can bring to the table. First of all, we have quite a few visual upgrades. Hummingbird has been rather busy with the Lindonian units, and they look awesome in my honest opinion. So first we have unupgraded Teleri Swordmen and Teleri Archers, and as you can see, they match each other really well with this gorgeous looking blue purplish cloth which they are using for their clothes, and I think it looks absolutely awesome, and with the fantastic symbol on their shields there, and they match really well. Then if we upgrade them to gold armor, you can see that they change appearance and get quite a fancy looking, well, it's not that fancy looking, I do personally prefer the blue one, but they get a chainmail, which, yeah, they get a chainmail basically, and then they match really well with the archers, who also get a chainmail, and they are also going to match with the Teleri cavalry or riders, who go from having used the chainmail, which these units get as gold armor, to using a scale mail and look a little bit even more formidable on their mounts. The Teleri riders are also one who's received a new visual upgrade. And as you can see, that unit there looks very much like these units here. So they are going to match as long as you don't upgrade the Teleri riders if you're a Teleri player. Then we have the Sindar guards. They have a new look, but as you can see they do not upgrade. But they look like that now and have a nice scale mail almost looking armor and look formidable as well, being elves of course. The Sindar spearmen have a new look as well, and they do not upgrade to any other look either, but they match as well really well, as do the Sindar archers who have a slightly new look. And all the Sindar units match all the time, and I think that is beautiful to see when one unit who share a name, or units that share a name, match that well. It makes me happy inside. Slight changes to the artillery riders. They have a slightly increased stats. Looks like this now with the 9 attack, 5 charge, 19 defense, and 11 of armor, which we are going to compare with the version 1.2 artillery riders. And they are also made a slightly bit more expensive. They have also lost their lances and are now using axes and are more sustained melee oriented as opposed to being straight charging and out type cavalry unit. Then we finally have the Lindon long spears over here who look like that unupgraded, and then they upgrade to get that nice Noldorin armor that which you can see glinted, but I do like that they have the blue colored on top still. It looks really cool. They have been slightly reworked and they are now pikemen instead of apparently spearmen, or presumably spearmen, and will now position themselves in spear war formation. So that's a change there. And then finally the Sindar guards here now use an axe as opposed to, I don't know what they used to use before, presumably a sword maybe, or something along those lines, because it makes no sense for them to have used a spear because Sindar spearmen use that. So presumably changed from a sword to an axe, which is understandable. Being mariners after all, they would probably be more fond of using axes than swords anyways. But that are all the Lindon changes, so I'm going to quickly run around or run to version 1.2 and show you what they used to look like, or what they do look like in your version of the game. See in a little bit. And we are now back again with some more Lindon, but this time we are in version 1.2, bear that in mind. So we're going to have a look at what actually changed. We're going to start with the Sindar units. So this is what they look like in version 1.2. And I can't remember if it was the Teleri or the Sindar, but one of these units had definitely gone to all have similar, was it chainmail armor, I wanna say, and looked similar in that regard. As you can see here, they have a tabard, almost all of them, and look identical to that effect. But if I remember rightly, they went to all having chainmails. So they matched that way instead, and I think that may have been just better. I might be misremembering, and you will probably be much better equipped to have a look at that, because I did not look back at the version 2.0 one before I started this version 1.2. But I do think I remember that correctly. Then we have the Teleri. Oh, hello, there we are. So we have the Teleri Riders. This is what they look like in version 1.2, as opposed to the chain melee appearance they take on in version 2.0 when they are unupgraded. I mean, in this case, they all match each other, right? But in version 2.0, these ones have a chainmail on to starters. These one upgrade to that same chainmail with increased armor upgrades, but here everyone matches. And I do like that everyone matches here, but I mean, the chainmail is going to look a little bit cooler when these are upgraded. Other than that, I think they have just been a little bit touched up from this, because I can't pinpoint any other big change from the Teleri. And then we have the Teleri Riders as well. There was of course the one small thing. If you want to compare, you can compare their stats here. And these stats are slightly lower than the ones in version 2.0. And they are also slightly cheaper than they are in version 2.0. And as you can see, they are still using lances here. No, wait, yeah, they are using lances here. And are more of a charge. I can remember the 9 is higher than what they have in 2.0, I think. And I believe they used swords in 2.0. So they are more of a sustained melee cavalry now in version 2.0 than they are in version 1.2. The Lindon long spears have been reworked for version 2.0. As you can see here, they cannot take up a shield wall, sorry, spear wall, but they can in version 2.0 and function as pikemen in that regard. Visual upgrades cannot really be seen. Cinder guards have gone from being pikemen who could use who can use spear wall to being people with axes. So they've given away the spears and taken up axes instead. And that are all the version 1.2 to 2.0 changes. So bear with me a moment and I will jump to the next faction on my little list here, which should be Dale. I'll be right back. After the Blue Elves of Lindon, we return with some more blue in that of Dale. What do we have for Daleties this day? Well, we have the Dalian Billmen, which is a completely new unit, never before seen in version 1.2. They have these kind of stats, using a really interesting looking weapon, and I really couldn't tell you what that's called, but it looks quite cool. But that's what they got. The Dalian Billmen, ladies and gentlemen, with an attack of 4, a defense of 8, split up evenly between armor and defense skill. I mean, yeah, they're a decent militia unit, I would say. Nothing bad, nothing extraordinarily good, but they look cool with the bills. A bill hook, it apparently is called, and is very effective at piercing enemy armor and hooking horsemen off their mounts. So, and indeed they get advantages against horses and camels and such things. So use them to stop your Rhûnian enemy from using too many horses. That's how I would use them. They're not going to be very useful in the end game, but other than that, they're really quite cool. So they are completely new, and enjoy them. Next up, we have Barding Marksmen. They received a slight change in that they are called Bardian Marksmen. That's Bardian, not Barding, Bardian in version 1.2, and have simply been renamed to Barding Marksmen. Furthermore, I should say that all of the Dale archers, except for the Athala Rangers, that's the elven ones, all of the Dale archers have received a +2 bump to their range. So they shoot 10 meters further than their human counterparts. So for instance, take the Gondorians. These units would shoot 10 meters further than the Gondorian counterparts. So that's a change. And the Lake Town pikemen, whilst looking like this unupgraded even in version 1.2, they've now received a new look. And they look like this, with a little bit of a plate mail on the front, and just basically becoming more formidable as a defensive strategy, in a defensive way. And looks really cool like that. And those are the changes for Dale. And I am now going to switch over quickly to the version 1.2 and show you what they look like there, so bear with me a moment. And we are back in version 1.2 with some Dale lookovers. First of all, this unit here, the Dalian Yeoman, it has been removed for version 2.0. You cannot use the Yeoman in version 2.0 anymore, and frankly it's not that good. You're probably not going to miss it. So let's move that to the back there. The Dalian Pikemen received a visual upgrade from this, and I can actually not pinpoint what has changed, but there is a change from this to version 2.0, and we can all thank Hummingbird for that change. And I think they look cool already here, but I thought they looked even more cool into version 2.0. Finally, this minor change here is that the Bardian Marksmen are called Bardian Marksmen in version 1.2, but are called Barding Marksmen in version 2.0. So that's the small change there, and of course the archers here, except for the Athala Rangers, have a similar range to the other human factions as opposed to a longer, in fact 10 meters longer range in version 2.0. That's Dalian version 1.2 changes, so I'll be right back with some Enedwaith for you to enjoy. See you later. And welcome to Enedwaith. We are now going to have a quick look at what their units look like and what changes have happened to them. So, We shall start with the Enedwaith clansmen. They are a completely new unit, and as you can see, they are a militia one, and they are not even done with the description yet. But they have rather low attack and even lower defense. So I would presume that these are basically there for numbers and for you to tie up the enemy whilst you flank around with a little bit more elite units, presumably. But they are new and they are cool in that regard. You have the Scouts, who also were introduced to some other faction, if I'm not mistaken, so I think I looked at them already. And as you can see, they have 16 defense and 10 attack with a cool bastard sword. So presumably these are some type of charging in and scaring units. I believe I showed them off actually already, but yes, Dunland got them as well. So they are new to Enedwaith and Dunland, and they look cool with their two-handed sword and scary nature. Then outlaws have been removed, and moot keepers, which we have here, they have lost their inspire nearby troops ability, so they will no longer do that. Which, yeah, okay, they're not going to inspire nearby troops, meaning your troops might run away a little bit quicker, but other than that, they have not had a change. One more change is that the Enedwaith Greyflood Raiders, your primary almost missile javelin throwing unit, has received armor piercing. No, wait, what? They're not armor piercing. Okay, so there must be a typo here or something, because it says here that the Enedwaith Greyflood Raiders javelins are armor piercing. So that either means that only the javelins that the Enedwaithians use are armor piercing and is therefore not listed here, but instead listed in the javelins that they use, or this is a typo and they are no longer armor piercing. I am not certain as to which. Then we have the River Elders, which are here, and they have also lost their chant ability, so they are a little bit worse in that regard. They can neither do that, which means that they can't inspire troops, but okay, the troops will probably be able to fight on somewhat properly. And those are the Enedwaith ones. I'm also going to quickly run over to Enedwaith and show you what's been removed and what units used to be there, and we can have a look at the missiles. So see you in a little bit. And we have jumped right into version 1.2 for Enedwaith to have a look at how their units have changed. First order of business is to say that these outlaws here, who were probably called bandits at one point or another, are no longer in the game, so move them out of the way. They are gone, forget them. Moot keepers here, they, in this version, still have the inspire nearby troops modifier, so they give morale boost to units, but no longer do so in version 2.0, so keep that in mind. We have the Greyflood Raiders right here, and we are going to compare them here. And indeed, it says nothing here about them being armor piercing, but it is stated in my notes that they will have armor piercing. So presumably it's just a forgotten thing from here, or it's just that the javelin is armor piercing and it's not this unit themselves. That makes no sense. Well, it actually does make some sense, because if only the javelin is armor piercing, they are not going to still have the armor piercing effect once they've run out of javelins. So I guess that makes sense. So the javelins are armor piercing, but their swords or whatever they use are not, so bear that in mind. And River Elders have in this version still got the chant ability, but they've lost that to version 2.0. And that's it for Enedwaith in 1.2, and now the only 1.21 I have left is Erebor, and then you are going to, after that Erebor, going to see some stake layers. So alright, we are now back with Bree, and contrary to what I've said before, I'm not going to jump back into 1.2 to show you the original Bree units, because they're very readily available and you should be able to see them quite quickly. and most of them have also only received an upgrade in their armor, as in when you upgrade the armor they're going to get a new look, and that's basically it. So we're going to have a look at them. First of all, we have the Archer Militia here. They are the first ones, and they look like that, quite cool looking. But once you upgrade their armor, I upgrade to gold armor, and as you can see they get a much more cohesive look, and maybe a little bit more sneaky look as well, if you say so, because as you can see there, they're quite green and brownish and maybe a little bit gary, and this one is much more uniform in my opinion, and I think they look more uniform and more nice, and I mean, you would probably want to blend into the environment a little bit better, and I think brown blends in a lot better than bright green. So that's the upgrade, and you get it once you upgrade their armor. Same happens to the Breeland Militia. They look like that, similar to the Archer Militia, but once you upgrade their armor, they also get that that same nice looking, as you can see, tabard with stars and such things on them. Much more cohesive look, and even though they keep the shields with the garish things, this one would probably not be the ones in hiding anyways. So I think they look really cool. We then move over to our Watchmen units, and as you can see, this is what they look like. First of all, with their green knots, very Celtic looking, as opposed to the Dalian knots, who, because they are on blue background, look very boats or navally, if you will. That's my opinion anyways, so I think they look really cool in that regard. But once you upgrade their armor, they get this really cool looking black armor, and as you can see they get this really cool Gondorian or Arnorian tree on their shields, and really makes you think that, oh my god, these look awesome, I need to use them, and I need to go for the Arnorian choice in the Bree script. So they look really, really cool. Same has happened to the Watchman Bogard. As you can see, they have this green tabard here, but once you upgrade their armor, they also get this really cool old Gondorian looking. Like, for instance, you can definitely see resemblance with Gondor in this one. And I think it looks really, really cool. And moving forward, we go to Watchman Sword Guard. As you can see, they share this same green look, and as you upgrade them, they also get this really nice Arnorian look with the tree on their shields. Really happy to see these because they look awesome. I'm really looking forward to seeing them in battle, stomping down the enemy. We then move to the Shire Militia. Even though the normal militia looks like that, with the green tabards and whatnots, I did not mean to select two. Nevertheless, they look like that. Once they're upgraded, they get this really cool looking Arnorian tabard as well, as you can see, with stars on their shield. And I think they look really cool as well, really tying into the fact that Breelanders would go join Arnorian troops if they had the possibility, which they might. Then we have the Gatekeepers. As you can see, they have this really interesting barding hook, as the Billmen have from Dale. Very similar to the Watchmen, and once they're upgraded, they get a little bit more of a plate mail look, and as you can see, this one also resembles with a few stars-like resemblance over there. For instance, in the armor, they look very Arnorian as well, in my opinion. And I think it's really, really good looking. And I think it's a nice upgrade from that simple green to a little bit deeper green and stars available. Really good looking. We're down to the Brandenburg archers, which are hobbit archers, and as you can see, they have quite a bit of they have a hat basically, and some chainmail, and some doesn't even have that. But once they're upgraded, they get this very nice cohesive look with the tree on the tabard, and really, really cool looking with a bit of a chainmail on all of them. So a really cool armor upgrade there as well. We then move forward to the bodyguard. Usually looks like that, green tabard, the same thing, and once upgraded they get this really cool Arnorian look here, as you can see. And I think that is a beautiful change, because it really gives you the impression that Bree has taken on, or is honouring the Arnorian roots, and makes sure that people remember that they are also part of it, or were part of it, or are going to be part of it, however you want to say that. I believe we also have the Greenway Men-at-Arms here, who have a similar upgrade. As you can see, they are very brown, they actually do already have the tree on the tabard, and once they're upgraded, they get a little bit more, even more starry shield than they have here, because here they might only have a tree. Once they're upgraded, they get that same one that the bodyguards get over here. And basically just ties into the Anorian theme, and it looks absolutely stunning. And you would be really afraid if you ever saw them coming, running down at you. And finally, I could not fit them in this army roster, so I had them in an AI army over here. And that is the Greenway Cavalry, who's also received a similar upgrade as the other Greenway units. I can actually not really tell, but I think these are the unupgraded ones, with the 3 tabards and so on. And when you move over here, then you see that they get this really nice steel hauberk and look really formidable and ready for battle. And one more thing, or a few more things that happened to Bree, is that the Bree Watchmen and Greenway units, that is these Watchmen units over here, as well as the Greenway units, which are these two and this unit over here. They are slightly cheaper, whilst on the other end of that, the Merchant Militia and Merchant Cavalry have been made a little bit more expensive. And those were the really heavily armoured Breelanders, looking like they do fight for money, and that's why they can afford such a heavy armour. And finally, little change to the Gatekeepers is that they've received a slight nerf in unit size, so that they are more in line with other human units of this tier, so that they aren't too big, basically. And there you have it. That are the Bree changes. Overall, a a very strong push towards the Anorian theme, and I think it looks absolutely stunning with those trees on their shields and on their tabards. I'm really looking forward to see these ones being played. And there you have it. I am now going to go away and come back to you and show off some Ereborian units for you. So do not miss that. Stay tuned. And here we are with the final faction, the Ereborians. And what will we have to show you here? Well, we have a completely new unit to start with. We have the King's Shields. This is the stats. They have 6 attack, 4 charge, and 23 defense. So, I mean, as per usual with dwarves, they are highly defensive and are going to be a pain to remove. Based upon these stats, I'm going to guess that they are not available before the barracks event, because they have a little bit too much defense for that. But they are going to be awesome to use, and they can use shield wall apparently, and they look really cool. A completely new unit, and probably going to be a very defensive unit, just to build upon the dwarves being able to stand defensively really well and be hard to approach. The Vault Wardens have been removed. I actually think they said something about that here. Yeah, something about the Vault Wardens. So you can have a read of that if you're interested. The Orokani Nobles for next have had a visual upgrade. And they have a new appearance. They now look like that, with a nice red tinted armor to represent that they come from the Orokani Mountains, which are the Red Mountains, if I'm not mistaken. And they are quite lively as well, as you can see, but they look cool. The Blacklock Engineers are here because they have received a range upgrade. They now shoot 10 meters longer than, or further than they used to in version 1.2, so that's happened. And the King's Warriors here, or rather the Dwarven Warriors, have been renamed back to Dwarven Warriors from having been named to King's Warriors before. So they are back to Dwarven Warriors, and used to be King's Warriors at one point, but not anymore. And yeah, and that's actually all of the Ereborian ones. And I mean, there's not much more to say other than that I'm going to jump quickly into 1.2 and show you what they used to look like in there. So and welcome to version 1.2 with the final one, before we go into the stake laying. So, with Erebor in version 1.2, what's changed to 2.0? Well, the Vault Wardens, these units here, or this unit here, if you want to have a look, spearmen or pikemen rather. These are removed and are no longer in the game for version 2.0, so let's just move them back there and out of sight, out of mind. The Orocani nobles were changed for version 2.0, and this is how they look in version 1.2. And if I remember rightly, they went from having this really bright red color to a slightly less bright red color on their armor scheme. So they look a little bit more dwarvish, I guess, with the less shiny, more brusque armor style. Blacklock's engineer are here just to remind you that their range in this version is slightly shorter. It's 140 meters here and 150 meters in version 2.0. And finally we have the King's Warriors, which are only here to remind you that they are called King's Warriors in your game, version 1.2, whilst they are called Dwarven Warriors in version 2.0, and that is the name change, and only name change. But for that, I think we are done. I have gone through all the units, and I am only now going to finally show you what the stake layers are of each faction, and there are quite a few factions who actually don't have stake layers, so keep your ears pinned for that, and after that we are done with units. So go have a look at that, it's the last thing, and I'll see you in a bit. Welcome from the final version 1.2 unit overview. I'm now going to have a quick rundown of which unit from which faction can position stakes, and there are quite a few factions that actually cannot place stakes. So we're going to start with Gondor. From Gondor, it is the Osgilian veterans that position stakes for you, so look for those if you need stakes. From Dol Amroth, it is these ones, the Tirith Ayar marksmen. They will position your stakes for you, so look for them in the end game if you need stakes to combat Harad or something. Rohan, being such a cavalry focused nation, actually do not get stakes, so you're going to have to do without them. But hopefully you're going to be alright with all the maneuverability instead. We then have the Breelanders, and it is the gatekeepers who position stakes for you here, which makes sense because they keep the gate, and it's very easy to keep a gate if you can position stakes behind it. So look for these if you need stakes as Bree. The Dunedain have the Dunedain steel bowmen position the stakes for them. So look for these if you require stakes as Dunedain. Dalians, also being very archer heavy, have the Barding marksmen position stakes for them. So look for these if you require stakes as Dale. After the marksmen, of course. Anduin actually did not get stakes if I remember rightly, so there's no use looking for stakes with these because you're not going to get them. You're going to have to ambush people and work around that. Finally, Dorwinion, and that is the Avari Elder Archers that position your stakes here. So look for these if you require stakes as Dorwinion. I'm going to switch around and pick the next 7 factions from this list right here. So I'm right, and now we are here with the dwarves, and from the dwarves it is the Blacklock Engineers, the Ereborian dwarves specifically, the Blacklock Engineers that positions your stakes. So look for these. Ered Luin has the Hammerers of Gundabad position your stakes. Actually, Erebor also gets them, so they actually have 2 units that position stakes. However, the Hammerers are only available from Gundabad. They are not going to factor in until way later down the road after you've beaten Angmar and probably also Misty Mountain and taken Gundabad from them. So don't expect to have stakes as the dwarves. Similarly with the Khazad-dûmians, only the Hammerers of Gundabad lay stakes for them, so get Gundabad early if you need them, but I mean it's unlikely. None of these Elven unit factions actually get stakes. So you're going to have to rely on superior numbers and superior units in order to be able to beat back the enemy. You're not going to get stakes, so don't search for them. They're not here. Finally, Enedwaith. I believe they neither had. No, that's not true. The Guardians of Enedwaith position your stakes. So use these in order to stop maybe Rohan or something similar from charging your units down whilst they ambush. So get this unit for stakes. Going to take a while because you require unified Enedwaith. I'm going to switch to the next 8 factions, so bear with me. Now we are here with Rhûn, and Rhûn does not get stakes because they have decent cavalry and decent enough infantry that they do not require. So don't search for stakes with Rhûn because you're not going to get them. Mordor, I believe, had stakes. Yes, they do, and the temple guards are the one who position them. So go for the temple guard in after the barracks event if you desperately require them. You're not going to get them anywhere else, so use these. Mirkwood, I believe, did not... No, they do get stakes. They get stakes from the Camul's Shadow Ranges. So go for these after the barracks event if you require stakes. Isengard do get stakes quite early, actually, from Orthanc sentries, because they're quite readily available. And they are going to make a huge difference in your fight against Rohan. So make use of these and use them a lot, because they're going to kill so many horses. It's not even funny. Then we have Dunland. They actually do not get stakes. So you're going to have to make do without stakes as Dunland, and superior tactics, I believe, is the word you're looking for. That's how you're going to win as Dunland. Misty Mountains neither get stakes. They have so heavily armored units, and they have trolls and whatnots and enough cavalry to make it more of a detriment to use stakes. So they're not going to get them, so don't look for them as the Misty Mountains either. Then we have the remnants of Angmar, who I believe does not get stakes either. So you're not going to be, on the other hand, you're not probably going to fight anyone who uses good cavalry, so you're not going to need them. So you're going to have to fight without them. And finally Harad. And as you can see, it's very, 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 very cavalry focused. So stakes, nah, they would be more of a detriment. You're not going to get them. Fight without them. You're going to do quite well anyways, I believe. And if you give me a moment, I'm going to pick the last two ones. And we are here with the final ones, the Umbar and the Candians. Now, Umbar actually do get them from the Naru Royal Archers. They supply you with the stakes you so desperately need if you decide to go either against Dol Amroth by ship or potentially against Harad. So make use of these, well, presumably after the barracks event, but they give you the stakes you need. Finally, Cand being such a cavalry-focused nation, you're not going to get stakes, so don't look for them because they will be much, much, much more of a detriment to you anyways. And presumably there aren't that many wood or plants in the deserts, so that you could use stakes anyways. And that's that actually. We are now finished with the changelog for version 2.0, and this has been regarding the different units, how they've changed, what's been added, what's been removed, and such things as well. So I do hope you have enjoyed it. Do please leave me any and all feedback, especially on these. It is so much appreciated, because then I will know what not to do for the coming videos and what to do for the coming videos. I will also include a timestamp thing in the description below, so you can actually jump to the faction you want to see and not have to wait until I actually get there or search the video. That's just tedious. So I do hope you have enjoyed watching, and yeah, I do hope to see you in later episodes and later episodes of my Let's Plays as well. So again, from the bottom of my heart, thank you for watching, and I will see you in a later video. So have a good day, sirs and madams, and goodbye.